Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including why now is the perfect time to wait to buy a Tesla, Tesla being the leader in longevity, new Model Y refresh details, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, electric vehicles are generally known for their great durability and longevity, contrary to what many people believe. Repairs and maintenance are minimal on these cars, and that means the average driver has little to worry about when it comes to keeping their car up and running. Among the biggest automakers, Tesla is leading the pack when it comes to vehicle longevity, and that lead is only growing larger. A study into this was recently conducted by Nature Energy based on vehicle inspection data collected across the UK. They calculated the mileage and lifespan one could theoretically expect to see from a number of different brands and drivetrain types. Based on their results, they expect that Tesla vehicles should be some of the longest lasting vehicles on the road, beating all other brands regardless of powertrain. They expect the average Tesla will be able to travel an average of 204,000 miles across an estimated lifespan of 20.3 years. Tesla has said they expect the car to last much longer than that, but 200,000 is just an average. For comparison, they expect the average gas-powered car to last 111,658 miles across 18.9 years. The average electric car is only expected to travel about 124,000 miles across 18.4 years, though. So Tesla's lead here is pretty wide, and really puts them into a league of their own. With all that said, there are a few key factors worth considering. For one, electric vehicles have progressed quite considerably since they first came onto the scene. The first EVs weren't great, and they had a lot of problems with range and overall reliability, and especially degradation. Since those earliest days, the technology has improved dramatically in a lot of ways, particularly within the battery. The latest electric vehicles are worlds apart from those earliest examples, and that is worth mentioning when it comes to an analysis like that includes these. At the same time, it's also worth talking about vehicle longevity overall around the world. As I mentioned earlier, this data was collected from cars across the UK. In their own internal data, Tesla has found that cars in Europe are actually scrapped much sooner than they are in the US, 150,000 miles compared to 200,000 miles in the US. These cars clearly have different expectations placed on them in different markets around the world, so these numbers may not reflect the situation everywhere. Still, this data really shows us how ahead of the curve Tesla is. Their vehicles are extremely efficient, practical, and will likely be on the road much longer than any other brand. I'm very curious to see the study updated in a few years, though, once we have other brands actually scaling up electric vehicles. Next up today, the situation with timing a Tesla purchase is always in flux. That's because Tesla is constantly adjusting prices, incentives, discounts, and more in order to drive demand where they need it at any given time. On the one hand, it's great that Tesla sells direct to consumer, because as a buyer, the price you order at is the price you pay. There won't be a last-minute dealer upcharge. However, at this point, Tesla changes pricing and incentives so much that it almost feels similar. The most extreme example here was the Foundation Series Cybertruck. Customers bought those, and then at the end of the year, Tesla added an unlimited supercharging deal for those configurations. Right now, they're offering a free Expel wrap across the country with Foundation Series trucks, and that can be up to a $6,000 value. They also dropped the lease price on a base Cybertruck down from its already reduced price of $899 to $749 a month recently. Originally, leases here launched at $999. For the Model 3, Tesla recently dropped its lease price down to $249 a month, and now instead of $500 off with a referral code when buying that car, they're offering $2,500 off. The Model Y, on the other hand, is in the opposite situation, since the refresh is launching in March. This is only available at $59,900, or $699 a month as a lease. So with that said, it may seem like the perfect time to buy a new Tesla. In some cases, it might be. There are plenty of discounts on old Model Ys in inventory. The Model 3 does have a $2,500 discount, and now both the Model S and X include free supercharging. That's a pretty good incentive, but that came along with a $5,000 price increase. That first one happened on the Model S a few weeks ago, and now has been added to the Model X. In the process, that makes the Model X ineligible for the federal EV tax credit. However, for the average Model X buyer, maybe that unlimited charging is actually a better deal, or they didn't qualify for the credit anyway. Some have speculated that Tesla could also be pushing more people to the Cybertruck, since it starts at $5,000 less than the Model X now. In any case, the situation we're seeing right now across the world is a decline in Tesla sales. Tesla still had a record quarter last quarter, but deliveries were down in key markets like California and the United States. Over in Germany, Tesla reportedly has seen a 60% drop this year. UK sales are down about 12% in January. In France, down 63%. In Sweden, down 44%. In Norway, down 38%. And in the Netherlands, down 42%. This chart shows the comparison of 2025 to 2024. So this isn't simply comparing December to January. This reflects a year-over-year drop, and actually is comparable. The relaunched Model Y likely has a big impact on this, but still about a 50% drop in Europe as a whole for the first month of the year compared to last year is pretty drastic. There are also many factors at play here, including uncertainty for the new administration, high interest rates, Tesla's cars still starting around $40,000 with no cheaper model available yet, and then of course Elon Musk's approval rating. However, what this really points out to me is that it may be a good time to wait to buy. For the new Model Y, it likely will be pretty popular, but Tesla's only selling its premium version of it for now. In time, that price will come down by design, and as Tesla needs more demand. Then if sales truly do continue trending in a bad direction, you bet that more incentives will come about. This could come in the form of unlimited supercharging becoming a normal part of the Cybertruck, that $2,500 referral discount coming to more cars, or simply a true price drop. On top of that, Tesla once again communicated on their most recent earnings call that, quote, plans for new vehicles, including more affordable models, remain on track for start of production in the first half of 2025. Regardless of what package these cars end up being, they will come in at lower prices than their cars currently sell for. Right now, we're on the cusp of lower Tesla pricing in a number of ways. Both lowering their vehicle prices, because they have to in order to drive sales, and then new, more affordable cars as a whole. So while this new Model Y launch is exciting, to me it just signals the perfect time to wait if getting the best price is your objective. As always though, if Tesla is selling the car that you want at a price that makes sense for you today, you may as well go for it. This is not financial advice, it's just speculation based on past experience with Tesla. But Tesla could do anything tomorrow, and anything could change with the currently available tax credit while you wait. Next up today, with the upcoming release of the updated Model Y next month, we're starting to learn more about it and its production. To start, even though it has been on sale for a few weeks, Tesla is already selling out of select launch edition features. On the configuration page, the white interior option has already been listed as sold out. This is very interesting to see, as it would imply production is perhaps more limited than we might have expected, or conversely that sales were much higher. Part of the deal when ordering this launch series is the inclusion of all of those more expensive options that don't come with the car by default. The high price tag makes a bit more sense when you factor in all of these options that you can get that add up to $12,000 if you ordered them on an older Model Y. For context, the white interior is a $1,000 upgrade on its own with the old Model Y. This isn't a huge deal if you were planning on ordering the black interior, but otherwise this could be very frustrating to see since you're basically paying for an upgrade that you won't receive. This is likely a case of Tesla underestimating customer demand for that white interior, and I expect that they will eventually get it back in stock. It's also a new car, so maybe sourcing white is just taking longer than black. At the same time, we've just gotten confirmation on a key factor enabling the quick rollout of this car around the world. When the Model 3 refresh launched last year, at first it was only produced out of China. The rest of the world had to wait a few months for that car, and that likely slowed sales in those markets due to the Osborne effect. Why order the old version when you know the new one is right around the corner? For their best-selling vehicle, Tesla would definitely want to avoid that happening again. We speculated for a while that when the refreshed Model Y would arrive, it would actually be produced simultaneously out of all of their factories. Well, in a post on X, Tesla confirmed that this is the case. They said, quote, production has now started across all of our 4 vehicle factories around the world simultaneously: Giga Berlin, Shanghai, Texas, and Fremont factory. They included a photo of one of the earliest Model Y units produced out of Giga Berlin, signed by many of the employees in the factory, which is definitely cool to see. On top of all the updated features we knew were coming on this car, as it gets closer, we're seeing what other things are changing. One of the small but noteworthy changes to this refresh is the inclusion of an icon on the door's emergency release button. Previously, this latch was pretty easy to miss, or people would actually pull that to open the door all the time. But now the large icon makes it clear what it actually is. This must have either been a big issue for passengers, or is now a requirement, because it does seem to go against Tesla's desire for a clean interior. Still, safety always comes first, and when in an emergency, it's extremely important that things like the door releases are very visible. Again, those are the backup releases for if the car loses power entirely. So I can't help but wonder if a change like this might actually backfire. People who aren't used to riding in a Tesla pretty much always have difficulty opening the doors, since the design is quite a bit different than traditional cars. Having a big latch with a door open icon could add further confusion for some people, and may lead to some accidentally popping the emergency hatch. When you have someone get into your car for the first time, this would probably be a good time to show them how the door opens as to avoid any mistakes like that. Previously, this would actually damage the window trim, but now it seems like Tesla has actually improved it so it doesn't do that, but still it's not their preferred method, so it must have some sort of wear that it causes. In a video from one Chinese reviewer, they showed off some of the great new features that come with this car. There are too many to mention all of them, but here's some highlights. The back seats are now powered and will automatically fold themselves up and down at the push of a button. There are 2 sets of these buttons, one in the trunk and on the sides of the seats themselves, meaning you can activate them from either location. When the car is unlocked, both the front and rear light bars have a very cool boot up animation. The rear air conditioning vents can now be controlled on screen, either in the front or the rear, when previously they were manual. Ventilated seats are also accessed in the same way that you activate heated seats, as we're used to on other Teslas. In a recent interview, the head of engineering for the Model 3 and Y platform and the Model Y program manager gave us some more insight into other changes made for this vehicle. As we expected, the turn signal stock was confirmed to be returning due to customer feedback. They found that an overwhelming amount of drivers preferred this stock to the blinker buttons, but reiterated that the buttons would still be available to use for that purpose. I'm a little unsure about that one because it seems like the steering wheel actually just ditched these buttons altogether. On the exterior, they promised that new paint colors would be coming to North America soon, but also pointed out a small change to the front end, the removal of the Teslarati logo. The logo is still on the Chinese version of this car, where it's supposedly a requirement, and will likely help this set it apart from other vehicles, but for North America and beyond, it was always intended to be blank. The company looked everywhere to find places to squeeze out some extra efficiency on this vehicle, and it manifests in many interesting ways. The braking system was redesigned in order to minimize drag from the calipers, adding slightly to the vehicle's range. The car's glass roof has been given an extremely thin coating of silver, which helps insulate the car more effectively, leading to more stable temperatures and better thermal performance. HVAC fans also now have a lower speed option, which will use less power. Tesla decided not to upgrade the battery's size in order to keep the vehicle more affordable, but these improvements have still given the car a 2.8% range boost regardless. Many more changes were made to specifically address customer comfort as well. The door latches and trunk lid have been redesigned in order to close more quietly and smoothly. Cabin noise has been greatly reduced thanks to added laminated glass in the rear, as well as a new wrap on interior materials, including the cup holders, trunk lids, and side trim. The vehicle's internal sensors have been greatly improved, which helps determine if a human is within the vehicle. These sensors are so sensitive that they can reportedly even detect heartbeats and breathing patterns. I'm not sure when that will come into play though. This is really shaping up to be a phenomenal upgrade for the Model Y, which turns a great car into an even better one. They've really taken customer feedback into account here and made this car into the ideal version that everyone has wanted it to be. I can't wait to test drive and fully review this car for myself, and also see these cars start to appear on roads in March. Next up today, one of the most anticipated times of the year for every Tesla owner is the annual holiday update. It always brings a ton of highly anticipated new features, as well as some unexpected surprise additions. This past December, the update included some big things like weather radar, Apple Watch support, a mobile dashcam viewer, Sirius XM, and more. Every update that comes to one of these cars, though, is also full of undocumented changes, and now months later, we're still discovering all of them from the holiday update. To start, Tesla made some small changes to their voice assistant, which signals some even bigger changes coming down the road. The first is a small change where if you tell your car hi or hello, it will enthusiastically respond back with its own hello. This is a very minor addition right now, but is a small step towards their future AI-powered voice assistant, or at least previews what that could be. Tesla eventually wants to implement something like Grok AI into their vehicles, which will allow customers to prompt it with normal language instead of pre-programmed phrases. Related to this, the voice command button will now play an audible sound when it's activated to give the user more audio feedback for their actions. Your sound system's equalizer can now be easily reset using a new button, which drops all the sliders back to their default position. Older Tesla vehicles with Intel processors are also seeing some performance improvements when interacting with the infotainment UI. Demanding apps like YouTube and the Tesla Theater now stutter less and can be minimized more smoothly. The menus have been rearranged so that more commonly used headings are brought up to the top. Under the Audio tab, you can now have the option to filter out explicit content on music and audio streaming services, and Service Mode has been updated to display larger visualizations for things like the airbags and seat menu. Intel-powered infotainment units have also been updated to show more of the visualizations that were previously only available on updated AMD units. The Cybertruck has also specifically been updated here to give further information on its connectors and harnesses across the vehicle. On top of that, when pulling up the vehicle's tire pressure, it now opens a small pop-up on screen instead of opening the service menu. The Energy app has also been updated to simplify the display. Now this mode will only show the last 200 miles of driving and closely compares your average range to the EPA estimates. When looking at your graphs, it will show your car's range in relation to the EPA averages, rather than just telling you if your car was using or generating energy through regen braking. In watching back video from your dashcam playback feature, you can now cycle through different speeds, such as 0.5x, 1x, and 2x. Navigation has received a few nice upgrades as well. When navigating to any destination, toll roads will now be clearly displayed with a $sign next to the travel time. Charging station icons have been updated for maps for added clarity, and third-party charging stations will now display with a pill-shaped icon instead of a circle, so you know exactly what kind of station you're going to. Additionally, each icon now displays a plug symbol, as well as the number of open stalls for added visual clarity on the map. Lastly are some updates for some of the car's fun Easter egg features. Cars with ambient lighting inside will now reactively change while certain modes are activated. For example, the interior LED light strip will now cycle through colors while Rainbow Road is activated, and Santa mode will shift between red and green. In the lock settings menu, the page will now display the name of your currently selected custom lock sound if you have one activated. Lastly is the biggest and most important update of them all, emissions mode. If you set it up, your car will now play a fart when someone sits down in their seat. This feature, of course, resets every time you turn off the car, so you won't get any funny surprises yourself for the next time you get into your car. One of the best parts of owning a Tesla vehicle is the frequent rollout of software updates that really improve these cars. Every new update is full of many features, some of which aren't even listed in the release notes. This holiday update was no exception, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Next up today, ever since the We Robot event last year, we've been eagerly anticipating any and all news on the upcoming Tesla Cybercab. The ongoing development of FSD and its upcoming unsupervised trials do give us some insight into its operation. While of course autonomous driving itself is the biggest hurdle for a robotaxi, there are a lot of other logistical problems that needed solving before it could become a feasible service. One of the biggest obstacles that had to be overcome was how to clean the cars themselves. People are messy, and over time the likelihood of someone dirtying up the inside of these is high. During the We Robot event, Tesla gave us a glimpse of a special car cleaning robot, but it was brief and we couldn't fully see it in action. Now Tesla has released an extended video, which gives us a full look at this special machine and how it will work. First, the cab will pull into a space next to a robotic arm that will perform the actual cleaning using specialized attachments. Then a large vacuum will suction onto and remove any large items that may be left behind. We don't know yet, but presumably these items will be placed into a kind of lost and found system. Tesla could probably even use a passenger log from the day and the cab's internal cameras to find out exactly which customers left the items and notify them. That's just speculative, but we'll have to see what Tesla actually comes up with here. Next, a smaller vacuum comes in and sucks up any smaller trash like water bottles left in the cup holders. Narrower heads are used to remove any debris left on the seats, and then a carpet brush is used to get anything off of the floor. Lastly, the arm uses a soft cloth to come in and polish the center touchscreen. It's really an impressive thing to see this system as a whole in operation, and it seems like a really robust solution for simple messes. But I'm very curious to see how they might handle bigger messes like spilled liquids or things that can't be vacuumed up simply. This goes to show that operating a robotaxi service is a much bigger task than just building the software that runs the car. This is very cool to see, but of course it could end up like one of those videos Tesla has shown us in the past with that robot charging arm that they designed but never came to fruition. I imagine with the launch of the robotaxi network, they will simply have people cleaning it. And then if people are able to put their own vehicles on the network, they'll have to clean them themselves. Long term though, these could be at future Tesla charging stalls that have wireless charging for the robotaxi and then robots to clean the vehicles. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see how Tesla makes 536 batteries every second, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.